Well, howdy everybody. Good morning. If you're here where you're watching from, let me know where you're watching. Today is a really unique, I don't know what to do without my necklace. I don't have my necklace today. A unique conversation I'm having with Johann about masculinity and sort of our North Star and what it is to be a man. Some of the struggles, some of the things that men actually deal with that you may not have thought of. Johann is a breath work. He created a really unique breathing technique called pyramid breath, but he's also, here he comes. Johann's also Fresno Freedom Alchemist is here. Awesome. Hello, Lexi.
Hey.
What's up, buddy?
How are you, man? Good to see you.
You too. You too, man.
I decided to wear a hat, like actually get like kind of dressed up because I knew that you're always like outclassing me. You know, you're always dressing so nice and you're so stylish. You got your chest out. You know, you can see your, you can see those pecs. So I was like, I gotta show up for this one. I gotta wear my hat. Your hat, my Ibiza gear. You know.
Yeah, you're in Ibiza.
Yeah.
How's that all going, man?
You know, honestly, it's a little colder than I would wish right now. I'm drinking my ginger tea here, and I'm like, wow, it's definitely colder than Topanga this time of year. So it's a bit of an adjustment. You know, I'm not a big fan of cold weather. I still have some PTSD from Finland, but you know, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. I just my physical body lately has been going through some stuff, and so I think I'm a bit, you know, I caught some sort of a little virus or a cold or something, and then, you know, when your whole skin everything gets sensitive, and it was only a couple of day thing, but then you get really sensitive to weather as you kind of rebound and come back from that. But I feel a lot better now, but you know, I'm still wearing a nice sweater in this beautiful finca. And getting cozy with my hot tea.
Yeah, man. And you guys are on land that used to be Osho's, right?
Yeah, well, it didn't used to be Osho's, but there wasn't like a Osho community that was living here, which is wild because I mean, what a lineage, what a story.
Yeah.
And you know, there's so many stories around that, but I think, as you know, for me, spirituality has been and continues to be such a big part of my life, and to live in a place or land in a place kind of blindly, because we didn't even see this place before we took it, and to know that this has held a community of people that have been very committed to their spiritual practice is really, really cool. And to me, just the divine saying, hey, you're in the right place at the right time, you know. And there's certainly been a lot of incredible magical things that have happened here, and I'm just very grateful to be here.
Great. Well, if you're just joining, Johann is a breathwork teacher. We're gonna actually do some breathwork. So if you're just joining us, I hope I'm not just throwing you into that, Johann. If we could do just a taste of your pyramid breath, and then I do want to talk a little bit about, you talk about in authentic relating how to cultivate practices that make you an unshakable, unstoppable, and masculine force, creating visceral spaciousness in your being to hold the magnitude of your real genius of a man. And I feel like we're in a real time where being a man is not necessarily celebrated. Like, it's almost like we have to apologize for being men in some ways, because there's a lot of toxic masculinity conversations out there, and I think there's a real, I think, attack on what it is to be a real man, or at least to celebrate. And like you feel like you're being chauvinistic if you're proud to be a man. And so I sort of want to dive into that without being too divisive, because that's not what my channel's ever about. But I do still like to bridge these conversations a little bit.
Shake weight there.
This is a shake weight. Now, this is my coffee. So if you does doing a short little pyramid practice sound like fun for you before we crack into something?
We can, yeah. I mean, Absolutely, guys. If you're watching this right now and you want to experience a really quick and fun state change, which means that you're feeling one way now, you're gonna feel better after. Let's just do like let's say a 2-minute practice. So we keep it really sweet and short. And this is one of the things I love about Pyramid Breath is I have a lot of clients that are really busy. You know, they have families, they're running companies, or they're just doers out in the world. And they love this practice because they can get it done in such a short amount of time. You can obviously do it for longer too when you have the time, which I highly recommend. However, you can just do it in 2 minutes. So that's what we're going to do today. So basically, please do not do this if you are driving a vehicle, if you're in or around water. You might get a little dizzy. So, and the other thing we'll be doing is preferably you'll have your eyes closed because really, because there's no more Paul Greene, first of all. We just see a chair, a beautiful chair. But no, seriously, why we want to keep our eyes closed is because we're usually overloaded with the outside world. Like there's so much going on all the time. So it's sensory overload, right? And we're usually also not thinking about what's happening right now because we're worried about what happened in the past or worried about what's going to happen in the future. And so there's a fair amount of anxiety. So when we close our eyes, we actually get to go into the inner world and into the body, which is always present. The body has no choice. The body can't be in the past or can't be in the future. So the body really is our gateway to the present moment. So once again, please make sure you're safe before we start this practice. And I always like to begin with an intention. What's your why? So even for this short 2-minute practice, let's pick an intention. Is it more freedom, more love, more joy, more connection, more safety, more playfulness, more abundance? Pick something or pick a couple of things as we close our eyes and as we get started. So as you have your eyes closed, just know that in a moment we'll be taking deep breaths in and out through the mouth. If it feels good to you, to undulate your spine as we breathe. So as in your inhale, you just kind of flex your spine, bring your chin up, do that. If not, just keep your spine neutral. But you want to take deep breaths in and do some sounding exhales out. So as our eyes are closed right now, turn your gaze inwards. Just notice, witness what's happening in that inner world. Take your senses away from the outer world into the inner world. This is where we can make change. This is our circle of control and circle of influence. Just noticing right now, witnessing, observing, not judging, just observing what's going on. Maybe a part of us feels anxious or scared or stressed out or whatever else that's occurring. Just witness it, notice it. And now, let's add a gentle smile to our face. Just notice what happens in your body when you do that. Or maybe it's a big smile, maybe it's a little giggle even. Just notice how the body relaxes even more, which is this little act of kindness towards ourselves, this smile. Beautiful, my friends. Let's keep those eyes closed. Get connected with that inner world, that inner magic, inner power. And now follow my rhythm as we breathe in and out through the mouth. If you want to undulate your spine as you breathe in and out, do so. If not, just take deep, slow breaths in and out with me. Let's go. Breathe in and exhale. Deep breath. Exhale. Really see if you can activate your sound. It's a somatic release. 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Hold it full. Beautiful. Now bring your chin up and arch your back slightly as you hold that breath full. Keep that smile on your face right now. And take your awareness to the heart center as you hold the breath full. If you get a little tingly, it's okay. Just hold the breath a little bit longer here. We're allowing the energy to move into different parts of our body and our system. And now exhaling with a big sound sigh. Beautiful. We'll do that one more time, guys. Keep those eyes closed. You might already feel much more relaxed than before. This will get even better. Let's breathe. In, and out. Keep breathing just in this rhythm. Now think about what's standing between you and your freedom. Between you and more love. Between you and more abundance. Is it fear? Is it a belief I'm not good enough? I'm not smart enough. I'm not old enough, young enough, wealthy enough, this enough, that enough. Breathe right into it. Activate that pain point. Activate that part of you that feels resistant. Breathe into it. Bring it forward. Nice. Keep going a little bit longer. In a moment, not yet, but in a moment, we'll take a deep breath in, and then we would release this energy out of our body. 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Now bring your arms out to the sides. Hold the breath full. Chin is up. The back is arched. A smile on your face. Not yet, but in a moment, my friends, we will shake and shout and let this energy go. Are you ready? Top off the breath. And let's shake it out now. Make some noise. Shake your body. Add in some gibberish. It's getting a little weird right now. Yeah, nice. Good job. Beautiful. All right, perfect. And now let's take one more deep breath in. Hold it full. Bring those arms out to the sides. Just holding the breath full. Big smile in the face. Keep holding the breath. Take your awareness to the heart center now. Expanding, opening, pulsating with energy, with love, with divine love. Radiating out in all directions. And exhaling, keeping the eyes closed, dropping the arms. Keep the eyes closed just a little bit more here. Just taking notice on how you feel right now. Do you feel more light, more playful, more free, more relaxed? Perhaps you feel a buzz running through your body, a buzz of energy. And now in a moment, not yet, but in a moment, when we open our eyes, bring this energy with you, this internal light, this internal love, this internal joy, so that you see it all around you as well. You see the world through a different lens, because it's always in the eye of the beholder, my friends. We are the source of the stories that we create, the way that we see the world, ourselves, each other, the situations. So now, as we bring those eyes open, bring that smile back to your face, come back into the space. Yeah. Good job.
Yeah, man. Talk about a state change. Let a state change. You know what's so powerful about having a tool like this to change your state is it changes what you're focusing on. So like one of my intentions of doing this with you is obviously you have a really awesome program coming up, and I want to dip into that a little bit later. But if a guy stumbles upon this live, because I want to share it on my other platforms a little bit later, I want them to have a few tools, because suicide with men feel hopeless, man. Like men feel, I work a lot with Army vets. At least my last 2 projects have been really connected to that. And there's 22 veterans that commit suicide every day. 22. And that's just veterans. Just imagine how many men. And like men, the number of men that commit suicide is so much higher than the number of women. And so there's a serious mental health thing going on with you know, inside of men, and what it like. It's a really confusing time, I think,
There's
for men
so
to
much. There's so much talk of toxic masculinity. There's so much of sort of, you know, tearing this toxic masculinity down, which I agree with. There are aspects of masculinity that have been quote unquote toxic. However, you know, we're not building these men up in a different way. So it's like everything masculine right now can seem really wrong, bad, but really I think women also are really coming into the understanding of like, wait, this is not working. We don't want men that are disempowered. We don't want men that feel ashamed of being a man, right? It's rewriting the narrative, and sometimes, sadly, you know, in life, in order for something to change, in a way, it needs to die, wither away. And there's this period right now that we find ourselves in that there's a lot of confusion. And this is again, I find, where we can be really, really helpful in being the embodiments, what I believe are very empowered masculinity, you and I, and you know, we come from very sort of different backgrounds that have gone through some serious trials and kind of found our way to the same place. And you know, I think for both of us in different ways, we at one point were very disempowered, and or you know, we were puffing up or shrinking or you know, not trusting ourselves, and this is not really taught right now in the world in a way that men can just do this. And so that's why there's so much of this confusion and pain and shame. And you know, all men want is to be like loved and appreciated. We'll do anything.
Yeah.
Like if somebody appreciates us, we'll go like not an extra mile, like 100 extra miles. You know, we you know, there's an interesting book by Omar Pani called Prerequisites to Ecstasy, and he talks about this green light, red light that men have in their chest. And it's like, if you can like put the green light on, the men will do anything. And so much of it will come from just acknowledgement and appreciation. And again, how can you acknowledge someone who is quote unquote toxic behavior, and they're angry, they don't know how to communicate, they're withdrawn, you know, they're shut down, they refuse to meet you, to connect with you, they drink too much, they use drugs, whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things. And that's why we're having this conversation today, is really how can we change the masculinity and femininity combined in a way that we can really come together and celebrate each other and hold each other. And that's again why I'm so proud of the container that Rachel and I are holding for so many of our private clients, as well as now for this bigger group, because we get to hold it together as a masculine and feminine, and really like change the narrative, change the story, because the story is in here, you know. And when we change it, just like in our practice, everything changes.
Right.
Our perspective changes.
Right.
We change.
And I love what I love about breath work, and this style of breath work. You touched on somatic for a moment. Is like very rarely do, like if an animal is chased by a tiger, or like say a deer is chased by a lion, if it escapes, it shakes. It'll like it won't. It'll go "Rah," like this, and you'll see it just like trembling, but it's getting out all the lactic acid, all the cortisol, all the stress hormones. But as us humans, we just bottle that stuff in, and like we have these fake. We don't really have a tiger chasing us, but we have the, you turn on the news, there's so much intense negative pressure coming at you that your body doesn't know the difference of a real tiger or a fake tiger. And we have all these other threats, whether it's World War III, or you know, or viruses, or the news, or whatever. And so one thing I love about this practice is, and the somatic part, what you were talking about, is we don't really get to shake or yell or scream without being looked at like that guy needs to be locked up. Yet it's just another part of us that we get to sort of, it's like our voice in a way. Like my son, who's 2, he'll lay on his back and just be like blah, blah, like, and he's just like, we'll roll, and he's fully, and at night I see him, he just runs in a circle to get all the last bit of energy out before he sleeps. Like, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
But as we get older, it feels like we just push it down. And this practice, this breath work, like in one of your parts of your course, you talk about authentic relating. So learning how to cultivate practices, and breath work is obviously one of the practices that make you an unshakable, unstoppable masculine force. You get to create visceral spaciousness in your being to hold the magnitude of your real genius as a man. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking. You know, for me, you've known me a long time, and
we should
you know,
share how far we go back.
we go back a long time. We go back, what, 1995, maybe six, something like that, like a long time.
Yeah,
a good long while. Yeah, and so you know, Paul's seen, and I've seen, you know, we've seen very different versions of each other, and we've held also each other through some very big transformations. And Paul, truly, brother, you have held me through one of my most challenging moments of my life, and I'm so deeply, profoundly grateful for your courage, for your willingness, the way that you showed up for me as a brother. And you know, I hope and wish that upon everyone. And even though it's very painful and hard and difficult, it literally changed my life.
Yeah.
And so we can get into that a bit later. It's also, there's a podcast with Paul and I where we talk about that as well. But to answer your question, what we don't realize often, and what we're not taught, is that everything happens from inside out. Everything happens from inside out. Oftentimes we're waiting for things to happen from outside in. And so until we make that change as men, that we learn how to shift our state, to shift our narrative, to shift our story, to shift the way that we show up. And the communication part, and this is where a lot of the practices, the visceral practices, come in. So you can actually physically, like you just said, our body only knows what the brain tells it. So if the brain is telling the body, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm a toxic masculine, there's danger, 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 tiger, war, everything out there, there's women out there that hate me, or, you know, it's just dangerous and bad, you know, what is the body going to do? The body's going to be in a stress response, in a trauma response the whole time. And it'd be very, very lucky for you if somebody's going to come and save you from outside in. That's very rare. And that's why we're seeing this huge amount of suicides and you know, depression and mental health stuff in the world. It's how can we create a practice that we are committed to, that we can change our state from inside out. Even if nothing in the outside world changes, this is our circle of influence and control right here, right here. The wars, the things, like that's outside of our circle of influence, and we're putting so much energy there. So when we focus on our circle of influence and control, we can begin that change. And because everything is energy, this is scientifically proven, and I'm not talking some woo-woo stuff here, you literally begin to attract different type of energy to you and to different people. The way that people relate to you, the way that you occur to them begins to change. People begin to maybe trust you more, want to be around you more. And again, this is where the communication part now comes in. And Paul knows this, I did not know how to communicate. And, you know, I would, anytime a situation would get too intimate, there was too much love, and this is all like stems from my childhood, my culture growing up in Finland and, you know, Soviet Union, and like just, I would get so uncomfortable that I would make a dumb joke or I would do something that would literally make the intimacy less. And people will feel like stabbed or hurt or, you know, uncomfortable. And that's when I would feel more comfortable, because I was feeling too much intimacy. And I didn't know this at the time, right? But that's, you know, or if Paul was, because Paul's such a happy guy and he would be so excited about something, and I would find a way to make fun of that in a way that his like beautiful balloon would just like, you know, and in time, Paul got really good at actually getting back to me and me beginning, it was challenging with me. I'm so grateful. You know, I've learned so much through Paul, as well as my wife, and you know, our teachers and various lineages of just in learning about communication. Um, and and so when we don't know how to express ourselves, when first of all we don't know how to take responsibility for ourselves, and then express and say, hey, a part of me is really scared right now. Or the story I'm making up is that if I say this thing, you're going to leave me and love me, and we're going to lose connection, right? I didn't know how to say any of this stuff.
Right.
I didn't know how, you know, I was all up here. I was literally completely disconnected from my body. And you know, I would say that my lower region of, like, you know, sexual energy was super active, and my brain was super active, but everything in between was very disconnected. And so that makes me a what? It doesn't make me an integrated, trustable man that people can feel safe around. And
Right.
so, and
Right.
that's the thing that guys are really suffering from, because it's like, if you don't have the tools to be fully expressed,
Yeah.
you know, you might get shamed that, oh, you're being weak, or you're a wuss, or, you know, and then if you're kind of puffing up, they're like, whoa, that's toxic masculinity. Like,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know, like, where's that middle ground of truth? Because
Right.
that's the thing that we're really afraid of speaking to, is like, what's actually going on. That's the scariest thing to say, because that's
Mm.
vulnerability and authenticity,
Yeah.
and it's there's a skill set to it, how to say it in a way that makes you feel safe, the other person feels safe, so they're not in a trauma response and won't just lash out at you. How can you calm both of the people's
Yeah.
nervous systems down,
Right.
so you can actually create connection through that very difficult moment?
Right. And it seems, do you think it's possible to do it alone? It's like it's almost, this seems like something you need mirrors, whether it's your romantic partner or brothers, or a series of your romantic partner's friends or brothers like you, or like a
Yeah,
circle like this North Star that
yeah,
you're creating. And we'll talk about that in a moment here. But
absolutely.
how else do
We can't see our blind spots. I mean,
right.
that's the problem. That's why we need each other.
Yeah.
We cannot see our blind spots. We only, you know, how we interpret who we are is basically the reflections that we get, right? And the stories that we make up about it. Like, there's so much of us that we don't see until somebody reflects it to me. And thank you again, brother, because you've done that for me many times. And oftentimes I wouldn't even hear it. I'd be like, that's you. That's not me. You know, that was my go-to, and I would make it about the other person. So the guy's like, I've been there. Like, I've been that guy who's refusing to take any sort of constructive feedback, and you know, and really, like, did not know how to process it, how to express
Yeah.
myself, you know. And I'm so grateful for the folks that hung in there, like you, brother. And it's you know, I also have immense compassion. It makes me emotional when I think about it. Like, so much of us have some sort of trauma from our childhood, you know, that causes us to act in this way. And most of us, 99.9% of us, do not get an education in
Right.
this. This is not what we learn in school. It's so silly. Like, let's change that.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't learn any of the any of those communication skills or finance skills. We learn like long algebra, but how amazing if we taught just like what is it to, like, what is communication? Like, how do you actually communicate, or how do you actually solve a breakdown of communication? Like, imagine that skill taught to a young person. Let's say you can't communicate to your parents. How do you bridge that gap? Like, imagine, like, what a valuable tool you would be at, like,
Well,
such a self-expressed
yeah,
person.
we're also taught in school to compete instead of to collaborate,
Right.
which is the craziest thing. It's like, you know, instead of the school, like classroom, working together to solve a problem,
Yeah.
we're each individually, like, trying to solve it on our own. And from a very young age, we're taught that, you know, you can't trust people, or you know, it's not okay or good to collaborate, like, just compete. So that's why too so many men have this, like, lone wolf, I gotta do it by myself, I can't trust anybody.
Right.
You know, nobody wants to hear about my problems. Like
Right, because then that's weak. That's weak or feminine
that's
or
weakness.
something.
Instead of like collaborating, you know, finding a group of men or a men's group, friends group, you know, and again, like it only takes one bad experience. We have a 5-to-1 negativity bias. So it's like if we tend to focus on that, we have 5 amazing things that happen, you know, and 5 people going like, you're amazing. And one person goes like, no, you suck. Guess what? We're going to remember. We're going to remember that one,
it seems
right? Oh,
even higher. It seems higher. I can have a million great comments on a post, and then there's one person that's like, "Don't quit your day job." And like, wait, what? The one out of like, it's my bias is more than 5-to-1, and mine's probably like 50-to-1. I need 50.
That's probably more like, especially now in today's world when we have social media. I'm so glad we didn't grow up with it. Like the pressure was so much less. Because especially as an adolescent, like you're so tribal, like you want to belong so hard, you know, and that the kids' brains aren't evolved enough to, like, I didn't feel responsible for something until my 30s, I think, you know. It's like I'm a real late bloomer, so it's like we can be so cruel. We can be so, and you know, and it's all like the couch cruelty where it's like you feel like you know safe to be cruel too, because it's like you're anonymous, so to say. But it's and you know, and there's that good old saying, I don't want to mess this up now, but it's like, what is it about people in pain are the ones that are causing pain? What is it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Hurt people hurt people.
People hurt people. That's what it is.
I've been on the precipice of a cliff several times on Twitter where somebody will comment on something or say something, and I'll have written this thing back that's like super smart, super bitey, super like, ha, I got you. And then I'm just like, why am I going to send this? I've been on that cliff so many times where I'm like, this is not going to add value. It's going to start like a troll war. And like, why would I have that out there forever that I've reduced myself to just trying to be right? And so I have to give up my right to be right many times on Twitter, where someone will say something, I'll be like, and it's almost like cathartic to write it though, and I never send it.
Yeah. I mean, talking about being right, I remember, you know, how important that was for me. And again, you were there, you know, when I really saw that, maybe I think for the first time ever, you know, and then one of our, you know, great teachers, Kathy, really helped us understand this. You know, you can be right or you can be in discovery. You can be in the knowing or you can be in discovery. Like, which one do you want to be in? And I use this so much in my teachings, and I do my best to live by this, because when you can be just curious and open-minded about something instead of needing to be right, my gosh, you know, and that's the thing you just talked about. It's like, why would you waste your energy going down a rabbit hole? We have, I think we're old enough now to realize that we don't have unlimited amount of years left on this planet, right? Each day goes faster and faster and faster. So how you spend your time becomes, where you focus your energy becomes more and more precious. You know, are you on purpose? Are you giving your gift? What is your legacy? Like, you know, and something that we talked about a couple lives ago, my dear friend Patrick, he said this really cool quote, which is, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. Ooh. And going back to that moment with you, Paul, and you know, Paul basically recorded a conversation between our teacher and him about me. So basically, I got to hear what my brand is. Yeah. And then he handed me the recording, and I did not like what my brand was at all. You know, and that was literally one of the biggest breakthrough moments of my life. When I heard what my brand was versus what I thought it was, they were light years apart, you know, and it's so good to understand that, like, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And I'm pretty confident in today's world, in this timeline, that people are saying really good things about me and really good things about you when we're not in the room. Right. Because we don't have We don't try to prove ourselves. We don't need to be right. You know, I would say that we both have a deep spiritual practice. We feel very embodied. You know, we're in loving relationships. We love to give love. We love to help people. We love to share and also learn. Like part of being in discovery is that you're always learning. You're a forever student. No matter how smart or successful or fulfilled you are, the universe is literally infinite in that direction and in this direction.
Sure.
So it's like the more you understand that, the more you understand how little you actually know.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
And all of these tools that you're talking about, like what we're talking about is giving up your right to be right. These are some of the tools in the authentic relating, right? These are, how do you cultivate some of these practices that make you unshakable and unstoppable masculine force, creating visceral spaciousness in your being to hold the magnitude of your real genius of a man. I keep reading it because I like the way that it makes me feel when I read that. Like that, and you have the next one is self-mastery and sexual mastery, which I don't think we have time to get into today. But I want to point everyone to your North Star so they can actually have, it's actually in your first, on Johann's link tree. So follow Johann, and then in his link tree, it's the first link. He has a program coming up on the 11th, right? No.
Yeah.
The
And
11th.
it's only 2 more days to sign up for it. So
Okay.
if this is interesting to you guys, I guarantee you it's be a life-changing experience. And again, what I love about this program so much is it's not just me. It's me and my amazing wife who has shaped me so much to become the man that I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And so there'll be moments with and this is only for men, this program. And so you'll be held by just the masculine as well as the feminine and masculine together. And there's no shaming, there's no blaming, there's no guilting. There's literally blind spot mirroring in a kindest of ways, because we're learning how to communicate and how to accept ourselves and how to reveal ourselves in a safe space and safe container so we can find our genius.
Yeah.
So we don't feel ashamed about who we are. And oftentimes whether we're in relationships or we're in jobs, we're in dynamics, because we don't feel like we're good enough, or we don't feel like we can do better, you know, especially in a job situation. I'm saying, but maybe we're in a dynamic with a person where we feel hurt constantly, or we feel shamed constantly, or we feel, and so you're spiraling in place, or worse, you're spiraling down.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be that way. And again, the change happens from inside out, now, not outside in. And it's so powerful when we get to together learn these tools and practices so they become who you are.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science. It's so simple. And we're so excited. And everything that we teach is everything that we practice.
Right.
And, you know, I've been the most stuck, the most friggin' Eastern European, like, shut off dude on the planet. And I would say that I'm almost I wouldn't know the opposite of that, but I would say that I've been able to really work with those energies and alchemize them into my gift that I give to the world now. You know, and that's the genius, right? Is how do you take all that trauma, that pain, those disempowering beliefs and ideas and stories that you're holding and carrying, a lot of them also unconsciously, and then turn that into your gift, into your genius, where you get to serve the world with that. That to me is that visceral change into your genius, where you know you're given your gift in this world. You know you're on purpose. It's not efforting. Being in our genius is not efforting. You're not having to work hard, going to a job you hate just to make money. You're doing with something you love and you're passionate about. It's honestly one of the best feelings on this planet that I'm aware of.
Yeah. I like use the words alchemy, which is I just finished The Alchemist again, and one of the things that, you know, your past and your story and your shadow, being able to integrate that, not shame it, not shut it down, but just to be like, all these parts of us have served us in some way, and so
Help us survive at some point. Yeah.
And so to integrate your shadow and to then actually become a force of nature rather than being ashamed of who you once were. You don't have to be that identity forever. You can like create a new one, and you can, and I do find one of the things that breath work at this level, like, and Johann gave us a taste at the beginning of a little bit of his breath work, but it goes, and then there's a creation meditation at the end. What I love about is the massive state change, the super alkalining and oxygenating your body, and just a chance to almost like break free of the stories that we made up about who we are. We need practices like that. That's why cold plunges are so great, like intense runs or cold ocean swims or saunas. Any state change like that is going to give you a chance to kind of disassociate for a moment with your made up identity, to then just be like, okay, now I can create something powerful. And right.
Yeah. And I think that so many of us are stuck, we fight for our problems, which means we fight for our identity, and again, like, that was me. I fought so hard for my identity, and you're literally fighting to keep those traumas and things in place, because that's how we like associate to ourselves and each other. And it's incredible when there are practices that are available where you get to shake it out, dismantle it, and then put it back together in a different way. So you don't just like get, like all shook up, but you actually get to put yourself together in a new way. Each single moment to moment, is an opportunity for us to change who we are. And that doesn't mean we have to, but we get to if we'd like to, because why not be ever evolving? Why not get better and better forever and ever? Why not just have so much fun while you're doing it? Why not be forever in discovery instead of being stuck or being the knowing or be rigid, which I think a lot of the masculine tends to be. Again, that was me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you guys will talk about some of the relating with masculine, feminine. Do you guys talk about some of the polarity in your program too?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where Rachel really is so magnificent, and holding that space for the masculine. I've seen her work with men, before, and we work with men before. And it's just so incredible to see what a loving feminine reflection that isn't shaming, that isn't blaming or guilting, does to a man. And same from another man, and so we're going to team men up with each other as well, to work with each other, and do these exercises that are so profound. Like, we have so many wounds and things that we don't even know about. And then how can we make this process fun and beautiful and meaningful? And also, how can we bring these tools into our lives, and so they become who we are, right? We are the thoughts we think of ourselves. And so if we can change the thoughts, the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves, and so when we can change those stories, and adding these practices, our lives truly change.
Yeah.
It's magnificent. It's beautiful.
So as we wrap this up, let's say a guy in the future stumbles upon this little conversation, because like I said, I'm going to share it on YouTube and a few other places. What's one thing that let's say a young man or middle-aged man finds this, what's one thing you can leave them with that will give them some action they can take, some framework that this conversation could be the most impactful for a man who stumbles upon this conversation?
I would say to really understand that everything happens from inside out. The story that you've been told that someone else is going to come and do it for you is not a real story. And that means that you get to become whoever you want. That means that you get to discover who you are over and over and over again, and literally create yourself over and over and over again. And it's so incredibly empowering to know that. I have free practices for pyramid breath. If guys want to get into it, gals want to get into it, on my Instagram. There are a multitude of tools in the world that we have access to now, free tools, that I would just say, get curious. Instead of being afraid of the change, because part of our identity will also always say, don't do it, don't do it. Like, why would you change? You're already good. You know, don't go towards that thing that's scary, but let fear be a compass pointing you in the direction that you need to go. And that fear really is just another way for describe it as aliveness, opportunity. There's a gift there waiting for you. It's literally like, think of it as a magnet to go towards it. Unless you're in mortal danger, like meet that moment, because taking that step towards it, you're doing something extraordinary. And you can really truly change your life and take control of your life, so to say, and shift your life into what you want it to be.
Yeah. And I love that you said take action, like take steps. Like you can't think your way into a transformation or in out of your problem. You actually have to just go out, go for a walk, go to the gym, go somewhere like that, take some action, or go do one of the free breathwork programs or your North Star program on your lips. Something that's going to give you some impact, and like, because if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to get the same result. Yeah, if you want a different life, you actually have to do things that are different. And you and I have put ourselves through many different programs and teachers and courses, and you guys are headed to Bali to do something really exciting with Tantra as well. So I think we'll leave it here, Johann. And if people want to check out your North Star program, it happens. There's only 2 days to join. Just go to, right. It's probably easiest if you're watching this in the future, go to, what's the actual website?
So right now, if you go to pyramidbreath.com, there's a link there linking you to the program. You can always go to my, at Herb Johann on Instagram as well. And yeah, guys, and gals, like, it's such an honor. Thank you, Paul, for having me on. I love you dearly. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so excited to keep evolving, to keep learning together, and then also keep sharing these tools and practices, awarenesses with the world, so that we can create an impact when we all collaborate in raising the vibration of this planet and celebrating men and masculinity, and femininity. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can and should be both. We both want it so bad. It's like an empowered person is a person who's sexy and fun to be around, and like acknowledge each other, gratitude. There's just so many tools, guys. There's just so many tools available to create this. We just got to do it.
That's right. Well, I love you, brother. Thank you.
I love you too, brother. Thank you so much for having me. Have a beautiful day. You look extra handsome. I'm glad I at least had the hat and my sweater on.
Let's do this again. I think, like, because I really want to be of service to men. I'm realizing, a lot of, because of the movies that I've done, a lot of my followers are women, but there is a percentage of men that do watch my channel. And I want them to have some reflection that I had, like just somebody to be like, here, this is how awesome you are, and this is also the areas that you don't need to keep pretending in, like some actual reflection. And so let's do another one of these. We could just do a little, because we talked about authentic relating. The self-mastery is another piece, and sexual mastery is another piece. And I feel like
big one.
Those are big pillars. So maybe we pop on and we jump into those a little bit. So
I wouldn't be surprised, brother, if one day we're actually going to do a men's retreat or something together, with our combined knowledge and wisdom and experience. It'd be really dope to do something like that. So yeah, man, here's to better and better forever and ever, brother. Thank you so much. I love you deeply. Give that baby Austin a kiss for me and your beautiful wife, and also give Ollie a nice hug, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, so give a big kiss to your beautiful wife for me too. Okay.
I shall.
Bye.
All right. I love you. Bye.
Bye. Go follow Johann, everybody. Bye.